I think we're good on the live stream, I hope. Yep, I think we're good on the live stream. And we'll get started in just a minute. Hey, Tasha, make you a co-host just in case.
Hello, hey everyone.
I've been having interesting tech situations. My second monitor just stopped working yesterday, so I'm sharing it with my iPad, and I just hope all goes well. And hey to everyone on Facebook as well. We'll get started in just a moment. Let me just get my screen share situation ready, and then we'll be good to go. This is the first time I've screen shared to my iPad. We'll see what happens. All right. I'm going to share my screen in just a second, and you all let me know if you can or can't see it. I feel like Mac make this so many steps to share a screen, but it's okay. Can you all see that? I can no longer see y'all, so I need voices.
Yes, we can see the.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. I don't know where you all went. This is a whole new process for me, so bear with me today, everyone. I think I unlocked the waiting room, so everybody should be able to pop in as needed. Tasha, and as soon as Tony get here, I'll make her co-host as well. So if we do have any of those issues, you all can help navigate that. But welcome, 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 everyone. Hey to everyone on Facebook joining us, as well as to everyone in the Zoom. Please use the chat feature in the comment section of Facebook to introduce yourself, especially if you haven't been here for a while and you want to introduce yourself to the new people, and especially if you're new and you're joining us for the first time. Definitely want you to tell us who you are, share any of your social media platforms, anything of that nature on the in the chat feature, and we'll be sure to follow up with you, or at least follow you if nothing else. But I am Magalia Sindh. I serve as the interim executive director of Hustle Winston-Salem, which is a nonprofit organization that is located here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So for those of you that may be joining us from outside of the local area, we welcome you virtually to our community. And for those that are in the Triad area, welcome back, or anywhere in North Carolina, welcome back. I want to give a quick apology. I know last week we abruptly canceled this session. Yeah, I had a lot going on. I woke up to being a victim of Social Security fraud, and I had to deal with that immediately. So I couldn't come to Marketing Outside the Box. So I'm sure you all feel my pain and forgive me. And I'm glad to be back with y'all this week. Just a few quick housekeeping things before I jump into the presentation. I shared with some of the people that were here earlier that I am doing a dual screen situation that I haven't done before with my iPad. And I can't see anything. I can't see you. I can't see the chat. So if you do have a question during the presentation, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask your question, because I don't know where to look. So unfortunately, I don't know where to look on the screen for it. And hopefully Tasha or Tony, if Tony's here, can keep an eye on the Facebook comment section for me. If there is a question, I will try to check once in a blue moon Facebook, but I can't promise, so definitely join us on the Zoom if you can. And I think that's my housekeeping for today. For those that are not on our email list. I do want to encourage you to join it. We put out a few new grants and funding opportunities for entrepreneurs today in today's email. So be sure to check it out. If you're not on our email list and you want to be, typically if you join this session, we'll add you at some point within the next week, but you can visit our website, hustlews.org, and go to the, I think it's contact us or connect. It's the connect page. And there's an option to join our mailing list on that page if you want to make sure that you're in our mailing list, okay? So welcome to Marketing Outside the Box. We do this program in conjunction with the Foresight Tech Small Business Center, which is also located here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Alan Younger is the director of that center, and he typically joins us. I'm not sure if you're with us here now, Alan, or not, but if you are, feel free to interrupt if you have anything to say. We also typically do this program in conjunction with the Flywheel Small Business Center when we're in person, and we hope to return to that soon if the Delta variant don't keep us behind the screen a little while longer, as it seems to be doing. Okay, so again, feel free to use the chat function to introduce yourself and tell us more about who you are and share your platforms. And if there aren't any questions, I'm going to jump right into today's presentation. Okay, so as you all know, we're talking about SEO. Hopefully you read the description and you're here for the right reason. We're talking about search engine optimization. So what really is SEO? I think that's the million-dollar question that a lot of people in or outside of the marketing industry typically have to ask themselves. You know, is SEO market research? Is it keyword research? Is it building a perfectly optimized website? Is it copywriting? Is it content marketing via search engines? Is it building links and authority? Is SEO conversion rate and optimization and analytics? Is it ensuring that you present a highly positive, credible image to your potential customers? Is it usability? Is it user experience? Is it mobile optimization? So really, like, what do you think? And please, again, feel free to scream out answers because I cannot see you or the chat. But what do you think SEO is? When you think about search engine optimization, is it something that you see on the screen or is it something else? What do you think optimization is as you think about small businesses?
I'd say all of the above, a little bit of everything.
I heard all of the above. I think I heard something else. What was that second comment?
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Okay. And I think that was the correct answer. It is all of the above. The answer to the question is yes, SEO is all of these and so much more. It's a really complex idea when we think about marketing. It's a layered discipline within marketing, and there are different types of SEO. I think during our third week of this session, we might get into a little bit into the different types. And there are many factors that can influence your search engine optimization. So it's essential to identify the type of SEO that's important for your business. And this is largely influenced by the industry that you're in, the geography in which you are located and operated. And next week, we'll talk a little bit about location-based SEO. And your SEO, like, you can look at it from your SWOT analysis, from your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. There's so many different ways to look at it. And today what we'll do, we'll go through a few tips and tricks to help you as a small business owner or as a budding entrepreneur as you think about your SEO. But as you think about SEO, a helpful way to look at it, SEO is just to consider that it's literally a search engine or search machine, if you will, to serve as a referral tool, a tool that provides the best answers to your customers' questions. So if you think about it that way, this is a search engine or search machine that provides referrals to my customers for their questions. Like, if you think about it that way, you won't stress yourself too much about what it is. For your small business to truly succeed in the search landscape, I believe you have to do everything in your power to be the best result that that search machine is going to refer to a potential customer. So whatever your prospective customer needs to make a decision, you need to be driven to provide that need. So think about SEO as how likely is my customer to search for what I provide? What are they going to type in? What are they going to decide to look for? So if I'm looking for a dentist in my community, am I just going to type in dentist, right? Probably not. I'm probably going to say dentist in South Winston-Salem or something like that. So you think about it the way your potential customer will look for you, and that's how you can probably best make sure that you are executing your SEO. So before we go any further, there's a few assumptions that I'm making, and they're here on the screen, but I'm going to go through these assumptions before we jump into a few of the tips. And I'm going to assume that you already have these basics covered. Like these things that I'm about to talk about on this screen, these are the absolute basics. So if you don't have them by the end of today, or by 11:59 p.m. today, if you don't have these things for your business, you need to make sure you do it. And we'll talk about it in just a second, okay? So the very first thing here is I'm assuming you have a website. And I want to point out that there are free website options if you do not have a website. There are so many options for you to build a free website. And even if you don't have a website, I want to stress that you can have a web presence, meaning your website, and I'm doing air quotes, your website could be your Facebook page. It could be your Instagram. It could be wherever you want people to find you on the web. Although I prefer that you have a website of some sort, if you don't already have that, feel free to, again, send people to one of your social platforms. And we see that all the time. We see, you know, I can think of a number of just nail salons as an example. When I'm searching for them and I find them on Google, when I click website, Google is taking me to their Facebook page and not to an actual website. So if that's what your temporary website needs to be, that's fine. Just make sure you have a web presence. So that's the first assumption I'm making. If you're here, then you have a web presence. Okay, and if you don't, again, by the end of today, you will, because it's not hard to create a web presence. The second thing that I'm assuming is that you've already installed Google Analytics or, you know, Search Console or Bing Webmaster, any one of those things, or all of the above. At bare minimum, I want you to already have Google Analytics installed. And if you don't, by the end of today, you will have Google Analytics installed, okay? By the 11:59 p.m., you will make sure that you do that for your business. And when you receive this presentation, you'll see everything that's underlined means that it's linked. So when you receive this presentation, it means I already linked it for you to just go to that link, click on it, and sign up if needed. Again, of those three, you definitely want to have Google Analytics. If you do all of the above, even better, but at bare minimum, you want to make sure you have Google Analytics. The next assumption is, and this is a big one, I'm assuming you've claimed or created your Google My Business listing. And again, I can't see y'all, so I might need voices right now. How many people on this Zoom or on Facebook has not set up Google My Business as of this moment? If you have not set up Google My Business yet, I want to know what I'm working with on the call. So just be honest, this is a safe space. And again, I cannot see y'all, so I need voices. How many people on this Zoom has not set up Google My Business?
I have not.
What was that?
I have not set up Google My Business.
And I haven't either. Hello, Rachel.
So, okay, so I'm hearing maybe 3-4 people. Everybody else, the rest of you, everybody else have set it up?
Yeah, I think I started it once I opened my Gmail account. It gave me the option to do like a listing on Google. Haven't check again. But I do get an email said, your page has been visited so many times, but I was gonna say, Magali, I still don't have a website, so I'll be very interested on those free options because I'm going to a conference next month and I need to create business cards. And it's like, that's it. I have just like 2 weeks to have a website so I can have the QR on my new business card. So it's like one thing needs to happen so the business card happens so I can have something to show for when I go to this conference in Austin. And then my second question will be, when you say you already have installed Google Analytics, Search Console, or Bing Webmaster, do you need all three, or as long as you have one of those three?
Good question. So I would say the one that you absolutely want to make sure you have is Google Analytics. That's the one that I think at bare minimum you want to have. I think that's Lorena who's asking the question. That's the one that you want to make sure that you have. Now, if you do Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools, that's not going to hurt you at all. That's even better for you, but it's not you. I wouldn't lose sleep if you told me you didn't have the other two or any other search function like that kind of provides you analytics. Now, you telling me that you're receiving emails from Google saying so-and-so people have visited your site, that sounds like Google Analytics to me, which is good. So it sounds like you might have Google Analytics set up. I'm not quite sure if it means you have Google My Business set up, okay? So we might need to look at that. The other thing I want to say to you before I move on to the next thing here is maybe find some time, maybe we can get on a 15 or 30-minute Zoom call. You can just use my Calendly or send me an email. But I don't know that you want to do business cards if you're going to a conference in 2 weeks. COVID has changed a lot and I don't want you to waste a lot of money. But that's a separate conversation. So let's talk about it, okay? Because there are more digital ways for you to do that for people to still be able to find you. So, and we can talk about those free website options as well when you contact me.
Yeah, I'm ready to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Of course. So Google My Business, for those who said that they don't have Google My Business, y'all, this is just way too easy not to have it. And if time allows in this session, we'll do it. We'll take 3 minutes at the end of this session to actually have you do it. But if not, when you receive this presentation, again, I have it linked right there for you. It's linked, Google My Business. When you see that link, Google My Business, when you see it underlined in this presentation, that means I have linked it to something for you. It's linked for you to set that up. And I think it's probably 8 questions max and 8 simple questions. And sometimes there is an extra step that you have to do to verify that you are the business you're saying you are. Sometimes that comes in the form of a phone call, an email, and sometimes depending on the type of business, you might have to mail something. But either way, the process is just too simple and it's too important to your business for you not to do this. So if you don't have Google My Business, I understand, but we'll make sure that you have it soon enough. The next assumption I'm making is that you get some light traffic to your website, Facebook page, Instagram, or something, and that's meaning people are not searching Google to find it, meaning someone is directly going to your website or directly going to your Facebook page. And even if that someone is you, even if that means that you are doing it, and if it's not you, and if it's only you, later today, I want you to call your spouse, call your mother, call your cousin, call your best friend, call your whomever, and say, I need you to go to my website, or I need you to go directly to my Facebook page, because all of this feeds back to Google Analytics and it's telling them that you exist on the internet. Okay. So that's why that when I say you get some traffic, I don't mean that, people are visiting your website 50,000 times a day, but is someone at least going to your website once a week at minimum? Okay, that's what I mean. That's another assumption I'm making. And then the last assumption I'm making, I'm saying these as assumptions, but I'm also telling you these are things you need to do. Hopefully you picked up on that. The last assumption I'm making is that you're a local business with only a few locations, or you are in a service-based industry. Now, let me clarify what that means. It means that you're not a national or global corporation. So whether you're local to your community, whether you have no location and you're just online, whether you plan to have a location sometime in the future, whatever, that's fine. I just mean that you are not a national or a global corporation? Because if so, the tips that I'm going to provide in this presentation probably won't work as well for you. So if I'm on the phone with someone from Reynolds American or something like that, my tips are not for you. These are for small businesses and entrepreneurs. I just want to make that very clear, okay? And again, everything that's linked is underlined for you in this presentation. So those are the assumptions. Here we go. Tip number 1, make sure that Google has your website indexed. Being indexed simply means that Google is aware of your website. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're ranking on Google. It doesn't mean that you're on the first page. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that Google knows that your website, and again, I'm going to use web presence because some of you may only have social media as your web presence. It just means that Google knows that you exist, okay? And that there's a chance of your site or your page popping up when people search for relevant topics within your industry. You know, so if you provide financial services and people are searching for financial services in your industry, you should pop up. I mean, in your area, you should pop up. If you're not indexed, though, you won't. If you're not indexed, so while I said being indexed does not mean you're going to rank, yes, being indexed does not mean that you're going to rank on Google, and ranking means like being on that, first couple of listings that Google show. Be very clear, if you're not indexed, there's not a chance of you ever ranking for anything on Google. So you need to make sure that you are indexed, okay? Now there are 2 ways for you to get indexed on Google, and we'll quickly go through those. The first one is Google Search Console. It's underlined, so that means when you get this presentation, that will take you directly to Google Search Console to get indexed if you want to do it that way. It is free. Most of these things, if not all of them, I think, are free. So if that's the route you choose to go, it's perfectly fine to get your site indexed. And I'll show you in the next slide an example of this, but the valid number of pages should be roughly equal to the number of pages on your site when you do the Google Search Console. And I'll explain that clearer in just a minute. But just to be a little bit more transparent on that. So if I have a website and my website have 50 pages or 15 pages, when I do Google Search Console should come back and tell me that I have 50 pages or 15 pages, or it might say 49 pages, or it might say 13 pages because it may not be picking up something, but it should be roughly equivalent to the number of pages on your site. Okay, that's the whole idea. That's how you know that Google knows you exist. The other way, it's a little less accurate than the Google Search Console, but to be honest, it's my preferred way because I just hate signing up for things and I don't have to sign up for anything when I do this way. But the other way is to go to google.com, and then in the search bar, you put in the word site, you enter your website. Site, and enter your website. Again, I prefer this route just because I don't like signing up for things, but Google Search Console is more accurate than the second route. Not to say that the second route isn't a good route, because it is, but the Google Console one is a more accurate route. Now, if Google returns at least one result when you do any of these methods, then that means they at least know part of your website exists, okay? If Google returns the same number of results as pages on your site, then they likely have all pages on your site indexed, which is a good thing. If Google comes back with no results, then Google has no clue that your website exists or your web presence exists. So if you put that into Google and it comes back with 0 hits, that means Google does not know you are on the internet. And just as an FYI, that second method, it also works on Bing. I don't use Bing, but I'm putting this out there in case you do or your customers do. It also works on Bing. So instead of going to google.com, you'll go to bing.com and do the same process. And to be fair, at least in my experience, Bing seems to be a bit more accurate when you do this. And I'm sure that's because Google wants you to use the Google Search Console. And you could do this on the google.com method and then do it on the bing.com, and you might see different numbers. And that's okay, because that's possible. That means both sites are picking up different things. So don't be alarmed by that. But again, Bing sometimes, in my opinion, seems to be a bit more accurate. But what I always ask myself, and you would have to ask yourself this, is, are your customers searching for you via Bing? And if they are, go with that Bing result. But I know people are searching on Google. So I want to make sure Google has my information right, you know? Okay. So these are examples of what I was just saying. So let me walk you through it a bit. So you see here, hopefully I'm on the right screen hovering. I still haven't figured out the screen situation. But here where you see the 250, that means, the 240, excuse me. That means Google found 200, and this is Google Console, and this first example is Google Console. That means Google found 240 valid pages for this site that was entered, right? Because that's what it looks like. You would put the site in and Google will let you know, this is what I found. This is an example of the second method. And here, this is on Google for this page, for this site. And you see how you put it in just like that. And I want to point out, I said put in .com in the first slide, but this person's website ends in .co.uk. So put that in. Don't put .com in after that. So it's whatever your website is. So if your website ends in .org or .us or .edu, then that's how you put it. You put in site, colon, and whatever your website is, okay? So Google came back with this many results for this person's page. That's probably not accurate. That means this person may have made so many changes so many times, but this is what Google is reading. This is Bing. Bing did the exact same thing, and Bing only read 50 results, which is likely more accurate, right? Likely more accurate, but I just kind of want to show you same search, two different sites, completely different results. But either way, I wanted to point that out so that you know what Google is doing for you. And if you have a moment, I don't want to spend too much time on it, do it later, but do this for your site. Do this for your site and find out, is Google showing the right amount of results? Is it showing too little, too many, or is it just about right? Because this all plays into your SEO. So this is something you want to make sure you are getting right with your website. And then, the question you are probably thinking, are there ways to submit your website to search engines if you find that you are not indexed? So let's just say you do this and you come back and realize Google is coming back with 0 results and you're not getting people to visit your page or whatever the case may be. Are there manual ways for you to do this? Yes, the answer is yes. But in my honest opinion, it's pointless to do them. It's pointless to do it manually. Google and other sites like Google rely on authentic searches, not manual. So while it doesn't hurt for you to submit it manually, I would not recommend you waste your time doing it. But if you are interested in making sure that you're indexed manually, send us an email. We'll send you the links on how you can enter it manually into Google. But honestly, again, I would not recommend it. You want these to be real results, real authentic ways of making sure people are finding you and your business on the internet. Okay. And let me pause for a quick moment. Are there any questions? And I just want to check Facebook. I don't think I even know if I'm up on Facebook. Hopefully there aren't any questions on Facebook. All right. All right, the next tip here, once you know that you're indexed, is you want to ask yourself, is your site mobile friendly? This is definitely worth checking with your website. Most people automatically assume that your website is mobile friendly. There's a simple way to figure this out. Google, isn't Google great? Google has a mobile friendly test tool. And because I love you, a mobile friendly test tool is in this presentation for you to click on later. And if we have time today, we'll do it. But for you to click on later and enter your site to see if your site is mobile friendly. Okay. I think it was, I can't remember if it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, but a few years ago, Google reported that over half of their searches, more, and I'm sure that's even higher now, I'm sure it's way more than half now, but over half of their searches come from mobile devices. So this really isn't an option when you think about SEO. You want to make sure your site, your social pages are mobile friendly. It's not a option of thing at this point. It's a necessity. And a few things that I want to point out when you think about this from an SEO standpoint is a lot of us, for example, with our social pages think, okay, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's automatically mobile friendly. No, 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 no. Those sites, their mobile version is best on a mobile app, not on a mobile website. So don't assume that if your website or your web presence is your social platform, don't assume that your customers are getting the best experience because you are sending them to those pages. So think about that. And you're probably wondering, like, why does this even matter from an SEO standpoint? Google reads all of this, and that's how they decide where to rank you. If you are not a mobile friendly site, you're probably going to get pushed lower down that list of Google's ranking, okay? So this is what you want to see when you take this mobile friendly test right here. This is what you want to see. You want it to say that your page is mobile friendly, that it's easy to read on a mobile device. Now, it might tell you there are some other issues for this. For example, this person, and I just pulled this off the internet, but this person had some page loading issues. While we won't go into that today, this is great for you to kind of look at and say, oh, I have some page loading issues. Let me see what's happening. Let me figure that out. So that is something that you can think through. But what I really want to point out today is the mobile friendly test and making sure that Google tells you your page is mobile friendly. A mistake that a lot of us as small business owners make, for those who even do the mobile friendly test, we test our home page only. Notice it says this page is mobile friendly page. So while it's time consuming, I would want you to copy each of your links. You're on your home page, put that into the mobile friendly test. Your about page, put that into the mobile friendly test. Your contact me page, put that into the mobile friendly test. Whatever, your services page. You want to make sure that your entire site is mobile friendly in order to excel and succeed in this SEO game, okay? Let's see here.
Magali, before you continue, Allison Matthews on Facebook, she said, I think it's important to also think about what people would search for related to your product or service that might not be what you offer specifically. They may not know they need your product until they find it in other searches.
That's absolutely correct. And I think I shared it earlier that the third week of this session, the final week of this session, we'll go more into keyword search. So you'll hear more about keyword search during the last week of this series, as far as what you want to make sure you're putting on your page and saying things of that nature. So Allison is absolutely correct. Thank you so much, Dr. Matthews, for that. All right, where are we? All right, so next tip, create a logical website structure. I don't really know how to say this without just saying it, y'all. Sometimes we just don't do smart things. We do stupid things. So when I say create a logical website structure, that literally means your site, your website should make sense to navigate. I can't tell you how many times I've visited a website, particularly for small business owners, where on your home, I'll go to your home page, and then your about me page is at the very end of your listing of things, as opposed to being part of your homepage navigation options or something like that. So when I go through these lists of things, some of it is very simple. Some of it might give you a slight headache, but all of it will make sense. So again, thinking about creating a logical website structure, your homepage should link to other important pages. Your homepage should link to your about. to your content or whatever that content may be, and to your services. And then if someone click on your services page under your homepage, then it should probably list and link to pages describing individual services. Just think about your site and literally make sense of it. Go as you go through your site, ask yourself, does this even make sense that someone would do this? And you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with SEO? This is how Google reads your website. This is how search engine optimization works. Like I said, it is way more than a words game. It's more about the words game. That's an important piece, and we will cover it during the last week of this. But all of this is how Google reads your website before it even pays attention to the words to determine if it's worth sending people to your website. Well, if Google thinks they're sending somebody to a site that does not make sound sense, Google won't send them. And Google has a sitemap. I think I have it later on somewhere in this presentation. If I don't, I'll add it. Google have like an example of like sitemap, like what makes sense for your sitemap, so that you know this is how Google is responding to things and you're making sense of your site. Now, again, if you're using one of those sites like Wix or WordPress or something like that, a lot of times they will make the suggestions for you already based on what they know about Google. That's why those things are great. And if you're building a site, if you've hired a professional to build a site, they will probably already know that. But if you are creating your own site, these are the things you want to think about. And this, again, sounds simple, but so many people miss it. So create a logical website structure. Your sitemap should make sense for people. If I click on contact on your page, I should find ways to contact you. Simple. So many people at the bottom of their page, when they use these platforms, it'll say something like, you know, built by something, and then you'll click what it says built by that has absolutely nothing to do with your website. All of that matters to Google. All of that matters when people are searching for you. All of that matters on whether or not you rank. I think I heard someone unmute themselves. Did I? Is there a question?
Yes, it was me. Kimberly Battle said, how many pages do you suggest on your website?
You know, I don't have an answer to that question to say this is the best amount or least amount. I think it really just depends on your business, Kimberly. I think it depends on how many services you offer or products that you offer. So it's not really about, for me, or most people, it's not about how many pages, because, you know, if you do that console thing that I talked a little bit about earlier and do another site, you'll be surprised to see some of the sites that we visit all the time. They have 300 pages and you're like, where do I see 300 pages? Sometimes it's just pages that they took down or whatever the case may be. So Kimberly, I don't think it's about, I don't have a sweet number to give you to say you don't want any more than this or any less than this. I will say what I have noticed with small businesses, when you think about, again, about Google Console, typically when experts are giving advice to small businesses, it's typically assumed that the small business has 30 pages or less. I'm not saying you have to have 30 pages or less. I'm just saying I recognize that a lot of times experts are talking about 30 pages or less for small businesses. So hopefully that's helpful to some extent. But I think about, you know, our nonprofit business, I think we have 10 pages. We said what we needed to say and shared what we needed to share in 10 pages. So again, it's really up to you. Let's see here. Want to make sure. Okay, the last thing I want to say about creating a logical website before I move on to the next thing here is, if you think your website is logical and you're just questioning, you're not quite sure, the best thing is to put some fresh eyes on it. Get someone else to go through your site and find out from them, did it make sense the way I had it set up? Like, would you have done it this way? And just find out. You'll be surprised sometimes to realize, oh, this is how my customers are thinking they should navigate my site, as opposed to what you're thinking they should navigate your site. Make sure they start at your homepage and see if they can logically find and navigate all your important pages and quickly, you know, see what their process is like, because again, the site map matters to Google and to your SEO, okay? The next thing here is keep your site free of broken pages and links. Listen, you'll want to address errors for important pages that could be linked to other sites. That's one of the first things I want to say. A lot of times, other people link things to your site, and sometimes you don't even know it, but it happens. So if you took down that page no longer exists, you want to make sure that there's back-end ways for you to either completely get rid of it, or it now redirects them to a different page on your site or something like that, okay? You might have older URLs that you had in your sitemap that you have since deleted, but you didn't tell anybody else that you since deleted it. Small businesses do this all the time. Misspelled URLs. So many times we didn't realize that we put in that extra A, we put in that extra I, and that's now, websites are very specific. So if your site is iloveyou.com, but you accidentally put iloveyou.com, anytime you tell somebody to go to iloveyou.com, it's not going to send them anywhere, or it's going to send them somewhere else. That's not where you intended them to go. So make sure that you don't have any misspelled URLs, especially for your important pages. And again, sounds simple, but small businesses seem to be the victim of this all the time. It happens all the time. So yeah, just think about that as far as your broken links. And this is important because the information that you care about can easily be accessed by Google and your visitors. So you want to make sure that they have access to that since it's so easy. Now I want to point out again, there are site audits and site analysis that can do all this monitoring for you. If this sounds overwhelming, there are sites that do this for you. But there is typically a cost associated with it. I want to make sure that you know that, but it is an option. And again, if you're interested in those, send us an email. We can send you a list of them. Also, I call them website in a box, but if you have any of those website in a box, the WordPress, the Wix, the Squarespace, all of that, a lot of them offer these services as part of a premium site purchase. So if you have a premium website with them, meaning you're paying for a website and you don't have the free website with them, a lot of them have it built in to where they're checking for broken links. And while they may not delete your broken link, they'll tell you, you have a broken link. What do you want to do? Or it makes you aware that you need to fix something or something like that. So just know that you don't have to always suffer through this alone, but there are options out there that may sometimes come with a small price. All right, and how much time do we have? Okay, we're doing good. So next tip, make sure every page has an enticing meta title and description. Y'all see where my mouse is? Every page on your website needs a unique meta description and title. That's this stuff. When you search Google, that's what I'm talking about, this right here. This is what you typically see in the search results. And just as a FYI, sometimes Google changes those, like they changed the language or the title just based on random things that are happening on Google. So it might not be exactly what you put into your website, but it gives the same message. But that rarely happens, but it does happen. When you receive this presentation, there's a meta tool there linked for you. Okay, and that's intentional, because while every page on your website needs to have a unique meta title and description, it's kind of particular. Can't exceed a certain length before Google decides to like trim what it says. You want it to be enticing. You want it to say something that people will click on. And my personal preference, you want it to have your keyword when possible. And again, we'll discuss keywords in 2 weeks. So that tool there, the link to that tool there, it allows you to put in your page link and click fetch. Hopefully you can see that on the screen where it says fetch. You would click fetch and it will come back with some results for you. It'll come back for some results for you. It'll check your tags and everything related on that meta tool. Again, it's linked there for your convenience, but one of the key things that I always tell people when they use this tool that you think about is that word count. You see in this example here where it's in red, that's exactly how the tool will make it look for you. That piece that's in red right there is saying you can only have 930 characters and you have 970 pixels in this case. But it just lets you know you need to shorten what that says. Okay? So when you put in a link into that tool and you click fetch, there are a few things that may come back as potential issues that may arise. And I want to quickly run through those so you can think about how to respond to them. The first thing is—
Before you continue, Juana Price said, if you found this, how can you correct it? And I'm sorry, that was from a few minutes ago, and you are no longer sharing your screen.
Okay, I'll reshare my screen, but I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Can you say that again?
Juana, are you able to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes. I guess it was the broken link. If you find out that you have a broken link, how can you go back and correct it with Google?
So you have to correct it on your site. So it's not necessarily with Google that you're correcting it, if I'm understanding your question correctly. You're going back on your site and correcting it, and Google picks up your site being corrected. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. However, Google, I guess with my Gmail, they had mixed up the account and everything froze. And so in order to get back into the account, I had to add a 0 onto it, which was a little awkward because that's not on any of my publications.
I'm not quite. So it sounds like, I'm not quite sure I understand what you're saying. Sounds like you had 2 Gmail accounts. Is that correct?
Yes, the second one had to be added. The name of my business and my account name for Google is Chemo Cap Couture. That's what's on my publications. And then all of a sudden I noticed that all my emails to that Chemo Cap Couture at Gmail were frozen. They just stopped working. And so when I went back, I had to change the name by adding a 0 to it. And so to me, it's broken.
I don't think it's broken. It does sound like there may be some minor issues, and I'm happy to I don't know if you have our email address, Tasha, if you can please drop it in the chat for her, but I'm happy to take a look at it with you. I don't think it's broken. It sounds like it may be multiple accounts, and there may be some confusion about which account is tied to which. I don't know for sure without seeing any of it, so I'm making assumptions right now, but that's what it sounds like to me. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem, but please send us an email, and I'm happy to get on a Zoom with you within the week so we can at least look at it and see if it's a deeper problem than it's not, than it sounds to be. Yeah. Am I sharing my screen again? No?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, you are.
Okay. All right. I don't know where I was, but let's see. So again, not only should every page on your website have a unique meta title and description, it also needs to make sure that it doesn't exceed the length, that it's enticing, and that my preference would be that you have your keyword in there whenever possible. So this particular tool, when you receive this presentation, allows you to check all of those things that I just mentioned. Again, you just put the link in there, and you want to do this for every page on your site. I know that's a bit much, but every page on your site, you want to do this for it. And it will show you the meta title and description for that page. And something that you may see is these are some of the issues that you may see. One, you may see that it doesn't have a meta title. It may show up that there's not a meta title for that page. So how do you solve that problem? You add a meta title. It's that simple. Go to your website and add the meta title. It sounds more complicated when it's coming out of my mouth than when you're actually doing it, guys. Most of your sites, if you have access to it, it's a simple process where you type in that meta title. And if someone else is managing your site, then they should already know how to do this. But it's very simple. And if you need help walking through this, schedule that one-on-one with me. And again, just for those that are new with us, all of these services are free to use. So you schedule a one-on-one with me at no cost. The second thing that you may notice when you put your pages in there and click fetch is that you might notice it's too long, like the example that we have here. If it's too long, the solution is simple, shorten it. Figure out what words you need to cut out to make it shorten, because Google will, if it's too long, that means Google is dropping you in that ranking. That means you need to figure out how to make that sentence enticing enough within those amount of characters for people to want to click it so that you can increase in that ranking on Google, okay?
Where are we producing the sites on? Is it on a Google application or some other application?
So these are links from your website. So if you don't already have a website, that's right. When we started this session, I said I'm making a few assumptions, and one of them is that you have a website. And if you don't, there are free options to get a website. But all of these tricks and tools are assuming you have a website. So these are pages on your website. So for example, if you go to hustlews.org and I put that in and click fetch, then I would see my meta tool if I have one. And then if I did about.hustlews.org or however Google does it, hustlews.org/about, and that ends up being, it's going to tell me that meta tool, or, programs, whatever the case may be. So does that help answer your question? That those are the links that you're putting in for it to fetch. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, sure. That makes sense.
Okay. So the third thing that you might,
I'm sorry. What did you build your website with?
Our website, I think, is a Wix website, if I remember correctly. Our website before our current website was a WordPress website. And these were websites that we built. So we didn't hire a professional to do it. These are websites that we built. So you can get a professional to do your site, but just know it's doable as an entrepreneur or small business.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what's the difference between your fetch and your URL? They look the same.
So fetch is literally just what the tool is doing. The URL is the website, but this is what you're asking the tool to fetch, literally. So don't get confused by those titles. It really doesn't matter. So you're putting in the URL into fetch. It's just going to duplicate. It should say the exact fetch, and URL should say the exact same thing every time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's where search for the information is going to fetch it. But I need to make sure the URL is the correct, and the title is how I want it to see. And in this case, it says George Shire wedding video, and then that line, Sheffield line, Friday videos, that doesn't show. The Sheffield.
So that's the title. That's the title of your page. That's what show for other people. So that's going to be the title of your page when there's search. This is how Google will say this is the title of that page. While some of these things, depending on if they're on mobile, if they're on a tablet, if they're on a certain type of computer, some of it may show or won't show. But we're talking specifically about your search engine optimization. Whether they can see it or not, this is still how Google is making you rank for them. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I guess in this case, Sheffield and whatever it says beside it, fires, videos, photography is not showing on the top, on the purple line.
Yeah, but when you go to the website to that page, it probably says that as the title of the page.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
Yes.
Yeah. So the third thing that you might see when you use this tool, or you might notice when you read your meta description, you might notice that it's boring. Remember, I said the other thing that you want is that you want it to be enticing. You want it to be something where people might click on that and be like, this is interesting enough. So think about it. Read your meta description on any particular page. And if you think it's boring, change it. If you think it's fine, then don't change anything. And again, when we talk about keywords and everything during the 3rd week, we'll talk more about using certain phrases and all of that during your SEO when you're building your SEO for your sites. And while I prefer that you use your business keyword as often as you can, don't ever force fit it into anything. And your business keyword, again, we'll talk about that in 2 weeks, but your business keyword could be whatever it is you think is important for your business. Like for Hustle, our business keyword is inclusive entrepreneurship. It's 2 words. So that's key for us. So you'll probably find that on a lot of our pages. Hopefully, I don't know, but hopefully it's on a lot of our pages, okay? But again, we'll talk more about keyword search and all of that during week 3. So don't be too alarmed about it today, because we want to get some of these structural basic things set up for your site first. We're almost done here. We have 4 minutes now. We'll get through the last 2 slides in 4 minutes. So the next thing is you want to optimize your images for your site. A lot of people don't think about the images on their website. You want to make sure it's high quality. You want to make sure it's relevant to what's on the page. You want this is where we fail as business owners. You want to customize the file name by labeling the photo file. When you upload a photo to your website, you can label your photo. You can give it a name. You want to do that. Google reads all of this, okay? You want to minimize the pixel density without compromising the quality of your photo. And you'll know if you've compromised the quality because the picture now looks crazy, okay? But you don't want to make it so big that nobody's going to ever want to download or save or anything with that picture. So a lot of times when you're given a description and all of these things to images on your site, you'll see your website asks you for the alt text, which stands for alternative text, ALT text. And that's really where you want to put a description of what the photo is. Even if your description is happy couple. But if for SEO purposes, you might want to say happy couple living in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for a wedding, if you are a wedding planner, for example, right? So the more descriptive you are, obviously, the better off you will come up in a search for particular things. So just want to think about that when you're thinking about SEO. We always think about words, but the pictures on your site, on your Instagram pages, on your Facebook pages, all of those matter as well when it comes to search engine optimization. And you often hear me say, for those that are used to coming to marketing outside the box, you often hear me say content is king and queen. Listen, if content is king and queen, video content is the crown on their head. You need to make sure if you have video content, and I really shouldn't be saying if at this point in 2021, if you've been coming to marketing outside the box, video content needs to be a part of your business. The video content needs to be labeled, just like your images, needs to be labeled, the description grade. If you remember last May or June it was, I can't remember now, we did a series on YouTube marketing. Go back to that presentation. If you need it, email us, we'll send it to you. Go back to those presentations and use those little tips and tricks and things that we taught you, those hashtags, all of that with your YouTube content. YouTube has over 1 billion users and counting. You know, the tech company Cisco, they project that video content is set to take over all forms of content and traffic, all of it. So optimization is going to be key in video. So these are things that you just don't want to ignore, okay? And I'm speeding through it because I think I have one more slide left for you for today. I won't go through all of these questions, but I will say this. If all of this sounds a little too overwhelming for you, you can outsource this. I think you can do it because it's definitely beatable. It's not SEO is a beast, but it's a beast that you can beat. But if you feel like it's too overwhelming and you want to outsource and hire someone to do it, these are the list of questions that you want to ask whoever you hire to do this for you. These are the questions. That way you're an informed, educated buyer, because it's very easy to hire someone for SEO and they're not giving you what you want or the results that you're looking for. SEO is all over. It's a lot of things. It's all over the place. So these are the questions. And even if you're going to do it yourself, ask yourself these questions to make sure that you're doing SEO right. And I've linked the Google Webmaster Guidelines for you. So if you decide to hire out, make sure that they're following these guidelines. Okay. So again, I won't go through. Okay, I won't go through each of these questions. One second. I won't go through each of those questions, but before we close out, and anyone who has questions, please just remain for just a second. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on what's coming up for the next 2 weeks. Next week, we're focused on localized SEO. So we'll talk about geotagging and navigation-based SEO. So be prepared for that. If you have questions about the tips and tricks we talked about today, please send your questions in an email because we likely won't have time to revisit it next week, maybe. And then the following week, we're going to focus on keyword, SEO, searcher intent, and then I'll provide you with an SEO checklist for you to maintain your business. But those are the key things we are going to go through in this series, and hopefully you find them beneficial to your business. And I think there is a question for this slide. Is that correct?
I had just a general question about what you would expect to pay for SEO marketing if you outsource it.
You know, I think that I can't give you a direct answer. I think that's Julie that has asked me that. I can't give you a direct answer. I can't give you a direct answer, Julie, because it really depends on what you decide you want your person or that company to accomplish for you. So it really just depends on what you decide and how long. That's why all of these questions matter. And they'll show you their prices, and you can compare prices in your area, in the industry, because they might be focused on, let's say, they might be focused on links and authority as it relates to SEO, and you might care more about content SEO, or they might be focused on technical stuff, and you might be focused on local stuff, or whatever the case. So it just really depends, because all of that makes a difference in the actual price that you would pay to outsource that. But we have a lot of recommendations of people that can do it for you. Most of our presenters that have come throughout the years all provide this service. So we're happy to send you all of their contact information.
The company that built my website says that they specialize in beauty schools, but they've quoted me $1,000 a month for SEO help. And that just seems really high, but maybe it's normal.
You know, I'm not saying this just because I love marketing. I'm saying this because it's the truth. Marketing should be a huge part of your budget for any small business. A lot of times we don't think so because we just don't want to spend the money on that. But any form of marketing, all of the marketing combined, you need to have a reasonable amount assigned for any form of marketing, because SEO will drive sales. It will drive people to your business. Again, I don't do this, so I don't know if $1,000 a month is normal or not. I don't know what they're providing you. So that's why I put these questions here.
Okay.
All of this lets you know what what are they giving you every month? What is the terms of your contract with them? Like, what's the progress? All of that matters for you to determine, is this worth $1,000 a month or not? Because some people could scam you, and don't get scammed, girl.
Too late, I think.
Oh, no.
But
Well, ask them. It's not too late to ask them these questions, Julie. Still
That's
follow
true.
up with these questions with them.
Thank you.
wouldn't the amount of business that you make be a consideration?
As far as your SEO success, is that the question?
As far as needing an SEO.
So
I mean,
I'm not quite
if
sure.
you're only doing like 100 customers, to spend money, that $1,000 or something for marketing, but you can't do 200 amount of customers. You can only really handle 100 right now. It doesn't make sense to go there.
Yeah, all of these things make a difference. All of these things you want to think about. That's why I said think about your budget and what you're allowing yourself to spend. So all of that does make a difference. That is correct. Yes. Any other questions? I know we're a few minutes over time, but are there any other questions?
Yes, you were gonna mention those 3 options for free websites.
Yeah, so all of the platforms, Wix, WordPress, all of them allows you to build a free website, Lorena. Now, you might still need to pay for your domain, your address. I think that's the right word. Like if you decide that your business is going to be lorena.com, you still need to pay for lorena.com. And that's through a different, sometimes that's through a different provider, not all the time. But as far as the site itself, you could build that for free. When I first started my very first business years and years ago, I had a free website for 4 years before I decided to make it a legit site. And for me, you know your business better. For me, I was rarely sending people to my website. Rarely. I needed it to exist so people can find me, but it wasn't my website. All it told people was, here's my phone number, here's my email address. These are the services I provide. And this is when I started my first event business. So it didn't even have a lot of information. It had one page. It had one page.
Yeah, that's what I want in the beginning, is mostly to tell people where to find my, my podcast. You can listen on Apple and all the other platforms, but if I have the feed in the website, then they can decide where they play it. So
right.
And then I want to grow into the coaching, and that's going to be little by little, but at least I need to have a landing page, and I don't want to pay in the beginning for something which is.
I understand.
I'm a nobody.
So you're always somebody. You're never nobody. But what I will, like I said, you can go to Wix.com or WordPress.com or Squarespace.com, and I'm sure a few others that I can't remember right now, and create a website for free. They all have free options. If you choose to do that, yeah. Yep. And send us an email, Lorena, before your conference, because I don't think you need to pay for business cards right now. People are hesitant. They're losing business cards by the day. There are other ways. You can do digital business cards. It's an option.
About that. Yeah, I think they do raffles and stuff, and I was thinking something really that takes people to the Apple podcast for my podcast, since I don't have a website, and just my name, my phone number, my email, because I know I'm going to be talking to possible people that I will interview and work and so on. So at least for them to have some of my information, but I'm open to.
That's true.
Digital business card. That sounds interesting.
That's true. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, I have your site. I'll be finally talking to you one-on-one.
Good. Okay. So Lynn, Carolyn, Kimberly, Sanji, Tony, Rachel. Anybody have a question? I know you all are still here with us. And before I end the Zoom, I want to make sure I'm not missing any questions. And Tasha, were there any questions in the chat that I missed?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I have a quick question. You stated something earlier about there was a session about the YouTube, and you wanted us to check that out. How can we get that?
Yeah, so there's several ways. You can send us an email, and I think Tasha put our email address in the chat at some point, hustlewsinfo@gmail.com, and we can send it to you. We can send the actual presentations to you and the videos. The other way is you can visit our Facebook page, which is Hustle Winston-Salem on Facebook. And if you go to our videos, you'll see our marketing outside the box videos. You'll go to the section for 2020 videos and you'll find it. I think, again, that's either May or June of 2020, and you'll see all of the videos. But if you send us that email, we'll also send it to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else?
And there's nothing in the chat.
All right, sounds good. Well, to everybody on Facebook, thank you for joining us. I see I have a few direct messages on Zoom that I need to check in, but I'll go ahead and end the Facebook Live. Thank you all so much for joining us. Let me stop that stream and hope to see you all next week. You're welcome.
Thanks, Magali.
God bless you.
You're welcome. Thank you, you too.